Hi, it's Megan. I wanted to do a highlighter video for a very long time, but videos like this are really hard, so I kept putting it off. And so I finally decided I was just going to do it today. And there's going to be a little bit of like fussing around because I'm trying to keep all my highlighters organized. But anyway, so first of all, when you're trying to decide whether or not to use a highlighter, the first thing to think about is, do you want liquid, cream, or powder? And so what I find is that a liquid is really good for mixing into my foundation. And then also, if you like that texture better, I should have pulled the liquid out. If you like that texture better, then it's totally the right way to go. I'm going to show you. This is Josie Marin. So this is what it looks like. This is a limited edition, which I use very sparingly because I actually like it better than the color in their regular. This one's got a little bit more of a bronze tone. This is a little bit more gold, but it's also a cooler toned one. And so this you can kind of dot on like this if you want. I actually spread it on my hand first because with me using a lot of the liquids, I find it so runny that I will end up putting way too much on. I even think I did here. I have to blend it a little bit. So I have to be really careful with these not to put too much on. But I find that these are the best to mix into foundations, and in fact, until recently, I almost always mix just a tiny bit into my foundation. I like to water my foundations down because I just don't like them too heavy, and so I'd usually mix in a little cream and a little bit of highlighter, and honestly, we get a lot of people saying, wow, you glow, and I was always thinking, yeah, that's because of what's in my foundation. It has nothing to do with me. But I do like the Josie Marin liquid. I have some other liquid ones. I'm trying to think which other liquid ones I use. I usually just kind of use them up. I also have a Smashbox. Oh, the Smashbox ones I actually love. They're not in this, most of them are not here. I've got a NARS, and then Revlon also has the Photo Ready Skin Lights, which I like. The Photo Ready Skin Lights are a much more muted look. They're a much more natural look than a lot of the others that I have. But for a long time, I used one of these Smashbox ones, the darker one. There are only two. That has kind of like a warmer undertone. So they do have a warmer and a cooler one, which is good. These are not going to show up that much on camera. I used it almost every day, dotting it into my blush and then using it as an eyeshadow. And it just was like the most amazing glow ever. I love it. Cream is more precise than the liquid, and so a good one here, this is an Urban Decay. They don't have this one anymore. You can see what it looks like. It applies a lot lighter. It's kind of like taking what I put on my hand as already pre-made, and so I really like the cream formulations. I would again dot it on. They tend to last really well on me because I have dry skin. If you have oilier skin, it might not be quite as ideal. And I can find, I had a darker one, yeah, here it is. I also have a darker one, which I really like, Brown Sugar. And this one is great as well. You wouldn't think, like, we have a super light, super cool. That's what I liked about Sin. I was so bummed that Urban Decay discontinued these. This is a really cool toned one. And this you can really dot on. You can also put the whiter ones right in the corner of your eye. Just not too much because then you look super artificial. Just dot a little bit. A lot of the creams tend to be softer in application. And then this Brown Sugar one, actually, I want to put this one on. You can see it doesn't really add a lot of color, but it still works really pretty. So I really like those. And do I have any other cream ones? Those are the only cream ones I have right now, but there are other formulas out there. I find that the liquid ones are a lot more common. The powder is the easiest for me to use, personally, just because it's easier to dot on with a brush, and so I don't have to worry about clumping too much on as well, as much as I do with like a liquid. I would just, when I put it on, I just dot like this. This is actually my favorite highlighter brush, and I've used highlighter on my eyes. And there I actually spread it on, and then I dotted it up on top right in here. And I've heard some people say in some of my videos that not everyone can wear it right here. It works on me, but I'm also super careful not to apply too much. So what effect are you looking for? Most of the highlighters I have aren't too metallic, and I don't think I have any that are glittery. I don't really like the glittery, chunky look, personally. I just I don't even have one. I was trying to find one. I don't even have one like that, although I know certain brands have them. Do you want it to be a dramatic look or a subtle look? So if I'm going to talk about a more subtle look, I think that the MAC, I'm going to do MAC in a minute because MAC's actually my favorite highlighter brand, so I've got a whole bunch of MACs. The MACs are a little bit more subtle. I also think the Hourglass, if you look at these, it's just a very subtle sheen. Highlighters are like the worst to show on camera. They're so hard to see. But the sheen on these is super soft. And so when I'm looking for that very soft glow instead of a glitter or a sheen, I'll just, again, take that. Very often I dot. I'll show you that in a minute, but I'll show you now. Why not? When I wear highlighter, and I very often will use highlighter, a little bit of bronzer, sometimes a blush, sometimes not, and then mascara, and then lipstick, that's very often a look that I use when I'm in a hurry. I will dot it on here, I will dot it here, when I remember, I'll dot it here, you can put it here, and then I just dot it right here. That's how I use highlighter. And then what I'll very often do as well is take a smaller brush and line the lower eye. With a lot of the makeup looks, when I'm actually using eyeshadow, I'll just line the inner eye. And it's not just dotting it in the inner eye, it's actually lining the inner corner of your eye on the outside. Don't get it in your eye. Powder in your eye is never a good thing. The Becca, I'm going to show these here because we're talking about dramatic, subtle, or in between. Metallic. I think the Becca ones are really pretty. I think they're very metallic. My favorite is actually Moonstone. And the reason why I like Moonstone better is that, honestly, the Becca ones are very, they're very warm toned. So Moonstone to me is the one that's the most neutral. It's still a warmer undertone, but I find that they get progressively more golden. And so I will actually use topaz instead of gold on my eyes. To me, topaz is like a gold eyeshadow. The other thing I really like to do with a more metallic one is I actually like to mix it in with my blush. I like the look that I get, but I will actually use a fan brush, a very soft coating, so that it doesn't look too metallic. So you can see exactly, you probably can't see exactly because it doesn't show up on camera, how gold topaz is. And opal's right in between the two. And I just find sometimes it can be really hard to wear something that's too metallic. One thing I do like, I was trying to see if I could find my rose gold back up, but I guess I can't. That's a bummer. I wonder what happened to it. One thing I do like is these little Becca pots, and I'll actually go and take just the cream part and use this as a cream eyeshadow. Becca should have a highlighter only in this texture, because that would be a good cream one. Just isn't available all that much, right? It's not a formula that's available much. Okay, we covered wear. Undertones. We just talked about some of the undertones. I think people need to be really careful. Grab the one I just did a video for with the undertones. You know, you can't wear gold every day. It just doesn't work. And if you're wearing certain shades, it just doesn't work at all. Like if you're wearing really pinky blush and everything, I don't like gold highlighter. I just think it looks awful. And so many of them are gold tone now. So I actually just got this Chanel Camellia de Plumes because, even though it was ridiculously expensive, I thought it was a really rare, cooler tone. This one has a little tiny bit of gold undertone to it, but it's a cooler tone gold. And so this is actually what I have on my eyes and what I was wearing originally on my cheeks. But this actually is, well, it has a little bit of the warmth of just a touch of soft, cool gold. It really is more of a cool tone highlighter than is typically available, and I think it looks really beautiful. If I were to usually when I wear purple and everything, I'm going to wear either like a purplish kind of blush or a pink blush, and that's where I really want a more white highlighter. If I'm wearing a lot of blue on my eyes, I also want more of a white highlighter than anything too gold, because it adds too much color. So I've talked a lot in my videos about starting out with a matte neutral base and then adding color and highlight where I want it, but not everywhere. If I've got a lot of color in my eye, the last thing I want to start doing is adding colorful highlighters, and I don't like it. MAC. My favorite highlighter in the world is a MAC. It was a limited edition. I've put this in other videos, and I'm sorry it's a limited edition, but I just love it. It's this Lightscape. And this again is a cooler toned. It's like a beige with a little bit of a peach in it. And I just think this is the most perfect highlighter ever. In fact, I love the, what are these called again? The mineralized skin finishes. It's more of a baked formula. To me, reasonable people disagree. This is a lot less metallic. It's a lot easier to apply in a limited quantity. I just like the way it looks, the texture, and all of that. So this is one of my favorite formulas. It's just a soft glow, actually similar to the Chanel, but a little bit, tiny bit less metallic, kind of between the Hourglass and the Chanel. Hourglass also has some cooler tones to their, they're good about some cooler tones to their line. But I just love this formula. So some other ones I have, this one's got kind of an orange tone. I will occasionally use this one with a blue just because you see how soft the orange is to it. This will actually work without adding a lot of color. And then I've got a pink toned one as well. And this I will use this, it's a darker one. I got this because I will actually use this as a blush. And this is actually the one I was wearing yesterday. And it just, if you're careful and apply just like blush right up closer to the top of your cheekbones, you get just a really pretty sheen. I have a Tom Ford that was a blush and a highlight meant to contour, so it was more of a matte blush, and you were supposed to put the matte under the cheekbone and then the highlight on top of the cheekbone. So do that, you suck in, and then you can see where your cheekbone is, and you can do it applied just on the underside and just on the top. Really pretty effect. What other one do I want to show you? This is a highlight, again, MAC, that I wasn't so thrilled with, but I do like the color. You can mix in the darker pinks, and so this is from the Archie's collection. The reason I really wanted this and got it is because it's a rare cool tone blush that isn't too metallic. Here's a MAC, this is a limited edition lotion. This is kind of a lotion, and again, I feel like with the MAC, it just gives a really pretty sheen. Some products of MAC's I just really love, and I love their highlighters. The other favorite, I actually got dupes of this line. They did these double definition highlighters, I think a year ago. And this is the most gold toned one. And I actually use the darker one as a blush, and then I use the lighter one as an eyeshadow. And these are a little bit more metallic than the other MACs, but I just love them. They're still not super metallic, and the way the colors complement each other is great. So that's the darker one. This one right here is the next, this one's the lightest one. And this one I actually will put this on top of another blush, otherwise it's too light. And this is the most cool toned, and I really like having the cool tone ones. Again, if I want to wear like a pink lipstick, I just don't want gold on my face. And then this is the middle one. This is actually the one that's the hardest for me to wear, color-wise. But let me show you what the texture looks like. You can see that's the darker color, so you can see why I can wear it as a blush. I don't use this as a highlight because I only use mattes. I mean, as a highlight. I only use mattes to shade. And there's a lighter shade. I loved those quads. They did another line later, which I was so thrilled with these earlier ones. I got them, which just had one color. And again, you get the same wonderful finish, but you can see how gold that is. That I need to add really, really, really lightly. And then this one right here, a little bit more orange. My arm is like glittering. Again, warm toned. So I think that's really all I have to say. The brushes, that was the last thing. I've got like stuff everywhere. The brushes I use, I lost the one that, there it is. I use this one. I like to use this little smoky eye brush because I find that I can really line precisely. I'll use a bigger shadow brush like this as eyeshadow. I also use this smoky eye brush to line the lower line, and then I really like this one for precision, and I'll just dot it on like that. The other thing, I have a bunch of eyeshadows that kind of work as highlights, and I just grabbed one just because I don't really need to show you a lot. This is I Heart This by ColourPop, and another favorite of mine is one of the Urban Decay Moon Dust eyeshadows, Space Cowboy, which is a little bit golder than this one. This one I picked because it's a little bit cooler toned, and I wanted to show some cool tones. This one has like a taupey color, almost like a little bit of peach in it. It's just a really good highlight, again, either on the top of your cheeks. Sometimes the eyeshadows are actually easier to put in the inner corner of your eye. So I think that's all I have to say. This is just going to be video number 1 of highlights, because I might think of other things or get other products eventually down the road, and I might want to do another highlighter video. But this is the highlighter video number 1. Anyway, thanks. Happy holidays. Please subscribe on YouTube. If you have highlighters that you really love, I want to know, because this is probably my favorite product, highlighters. And I'm going to put the chapters to my book Masks, which is about makeup and the masks we wear, in the link. No, the links to the chapters I have on YouTube in the description of this video. Thanks.